All right, I don't think we need the homework slide anymore, so I will close that. And I'll bring up the week 2 slides. Yeah, this is a very interesting background.
Oh, yes, this background is.
Awesome. Let's see. So there we go. All right, welcome back, everyone. Do we have any new people in the class today, or is Wasabi, you were here last week, weren't you?
I was not. I was in a whole different state.
Were you? Oh, I guess I see your face everywhere. All right, so for the most part, everyone was in here last week. You remember like literally everything I said, right? You're not gonna mess up on any of it? All right, I hope everyone did the homework. We're gonna talk about what is a decibel. Would someone like to give me a brief overview of what a decibel is?
Mommy and Daddy decibel fall in love.
That is definitely not what a decibel is. 10 bells? What does it measure? Yep. So a decibel is just a unit to measure a ratio between two things. What those two things are pretty much up to you, as long as they're two related things.
Every 3 you double.
Yep. So we're talking about RF. That's what this whole class is about, is RF. So 0 dBm is 1 milliwatt. That's what we measure everything relative to in this class, or if you care to measure it relative to anything. Some people just go through and pick out the signals and not even worry about what the power is in decibels. So if a signal is 3 decibels, or 3 decibels relative to a milliwatt, how many milliwatts is that?
2.
So does everyone agree that it's 2 milliwatts? That is correct. Now, anyone have any questions? Because I don't really plan on covering decibels anymore beyond this point. All right, what is a signal? We went over this last week.
Anything that produces RF.
Not necessarily RF, but a signal is pretty much anything that's transmitted or received. Part of it's the carrier, so that's your center frequency. That's what you tune your SDR to or tune your radio to. And then part of it's the information or the intelligence, and that's going to vary by some degree off of that center frequency. Okay, everyone remember the FFT display? What, Wasabi? So on one axis, you have your amplitude or power. And now that you know what a decibel is, you see those little numbers going up the x-axis. That's power in dBm. And on the other axis, you have your frequency. So it lets you know where your signal is on the spectrum. Right below that in GQRX, you have your waterfall. Gives you kind of a view, like lets you look back in time at what was going on with the signal. And then in GQRX, you have this view where it's both displaced at the same time. And then everything should, in theory, line up. The waterfall should line up perfectly with the FFT display. And the higher the amplitude of the signal, the brighter the color. All right, now we're going to talk about something new this week. We're going to talk about modulation. Would someone like to tell me basically what modulation is in your own words? Anyone? Heard one, so thank you.
Changing a signal to send data.
Yep, and then?
How you shape the carrier.
Yep, how you'd shape the carrier, changing the signal to send data. Anyone else? It's basically modulation is just adding intelligence to your carrier. Adding data to your carrier, adding your voice, your CW, your PSK31, whatever you want. So it's the addition of information to your carrier. There's a few different types of modulation. There's amplitude modulation, which is changing how strong the signal is over time. There's frequency modulation, so you vary the frequency up or down depending So you take the amplitude of your signal, and that's going to, depending on what the amplitude of your signal is, that's going to make the frequency vary by some degree off the center frequency. And then there's phase modulation. That's used more so for digital data. And then in TV, the old analog TV signals that they don't put out on the air anymore, that also use phase modulation to get the color. And then there's a few different subsets of AM. So there's single sideband, which is what amateur radio operators use. Some CB equipment is single sideband. The advantage, what you get with single sideband that you don't get with regular AM, is it takes up half the bandwidth. And if you look at an AM signal, which we will in a little bit, you're wasting a lot of your power there on stuff you don't even need. Then there's double sideband suppressed carrier, which is your basic AM signal, but with the carrier taken out of the center, so you're wasting less power. And then there's amplitude shift keying, which is used with data. You can think of CW as amplitude shift keying, or also on-off keying, which are basically carriers there or the carriers not there. And then, so this is kind of what you would see on your FFT display. You have your lower sideband, your upper sideband, so that's where your intelligence is, that's where your information is. And then you have that really tall spike in the center, the carrier. And transmitting that carrier wastes a lot of power. However, your old AM radio in your car, that's what that uses. Any shortwave station you tune into, that uses the carrier. And it looks, on your actual FFT, it would look something like that. Your upper sideband and your lower sideband should be symmetrical. And then that tall spike you see in the middle, that's your carrier. Single sideband, they take away that carrier and they take away one of those sidebands. So it's a lot more power efficient and it takes up half the bandwidth. So anyone in here know what determines the bandwidth of an AM signal? Yeah, so the bandwidth of an AM signal is determined by the highest frequency of your information or intelligence. So looking at that red line, you can see that that's 1 kilohertz. I know I don't expect you to be able to figure that out from looking at that, but that information there is 1 kilohertz up from that center frequency, so you would hear a 1 kilohertz tone in your receiver. If you, for just plain old voice, that takes up to 3 kilohertz. Anywhere between 0 and 3 kilohertz, it fluctuates in that range. And if you have an AM signal, it takes plus 3 kilohertz and it would take minus 3 kilohertz. So now you end up with a 6 kilohertz wide bandwidth, and everyone agreed that that would be very inefficient to transmit when you only need half that. And then you have frequency modulation, or FM. And there's a few different subsets. So there's narrowband FM. So when you get on your, get on like a 2-meter handheld like this, or NOAA weather is also another example of narrowband FM. And because it's narrowband, and the frequency is also not good for transmitting like higher pitched sounds. Like, so listening to music on this wouldn't be so good, but it works perfectly well for transmitting voice. And then there's wideband FM, that's your typical FM radio station like you'd listen to in your car. And then there's frequency shift keying for when you're doing digital data, and basically you're going back and forth between one frequency or another to represent your ones and zeros. Any questions on AM and FM up to this point? So that's a 1 kilohertz tone. That's what it would look like on your FFT for FM. If you're transmitting more than just a 1 kilohertz tone, if there's actually something going on there, it'll be more filled in than that. But you'll see that later today. And then PM, phase modulation. For the most part, you're going to be doing phase shift keying, which all you're doing there is changing the phase of the signal, which means moving it in time. So instead of having a perfect sine wave, like in the graph there, you might come up, you might go down, and then all of a sudden you're starting your downswing again. That's changing the phase of the signal. And when you change the phase of the signal, that represents whether you're going to a 1 or a 0. Now, it doesn't really work very well to have one phase be a 1 and another phase be a 0 because it's kind of hard to get a reference there. But if you have no phase change be a 0 and then a phase change be a 1, then your receiver can pick up on that pretty well. And then you see BPSK means binary phase shift keying, means you're going between two phases. QPSK is quadrature phase shift keying, which is 4 phases. And then there's 8PSK, and it just keeps doubling up from there to a point. Eventually you're going to get to a point where there's so many phases your receiver can't distinguish. And the lower, like BPSK is much more immune to noise than, say, an APSK signal would be. So now on to digital signals. That's what we're going to be playing with for the most part in the class. There will be a few voice, but really we're going to be focusing on digital in here. All right, just going to get a show of hands again. Who in here is an amateur radio operator? Who has done some sort of digital stuff in your amateur radio career, lifetime, whatever you want to call it? So you got PSK on the HF bands, or APRS 2 meters. All amateur radio signals are unencrypted. That is by law. And then because they're amateur radio programs, it's going to be readily available. 99% of them are free open source. Some of them are free, not open source, and then very few of them are paid. They all use audio frequencies to carry the data. Do you know why they use audio frequencies to carry the data? It's because it makes it very easy for you to get the data from your computer to your radio, which is separate. And to go over the sound card just makes it really simple. You just take a cable to go from your sound card to your computer into your radio. And vice versa, you use your radio's sound output to go back into your sound card. And then each mode has distinct sound to it. So just like you can tell the difference between my voice, your mother's voice, your best friend's voice, you can tell the difference between different digital, you can tell what digital signal is just by the sound. Of course, you're going to have to practice with that. You have to go out there and listen to different things, but eventually you pick up, you know what PSK sounds like, you know what RTTY sounds like, you know what SSTV sounds like. And they're all very distinctly different from one another. And then also you're going to look at the pattern on your waterfall for each digital mode. That's going to be unique. It's like a fingerprint. So PSK31 is probably one of the most, if not the most popular digital mode using the ham bands, especially in HF. It's, so as the name implies, PSK is phase shift keying. It's called the 31, comes from 31 1/4 baud, very slow. For the most part, you can type faster than that, but it certainly gets the message across. Did you have a question? Okay. And then there's also PSK63, which is a little bit faster, but it also takes up a little bit more bandwidth and is less immune to noise. And because it's such a narrow bandwidth signal, it takes up about 31 hertz. You could have many PSK signals in that 3 kilohertz chunk you get to transmit with your receiver, or transmit your transmitter. And then there's RTTY 45 or radio teletype. Again, the number comes from the baud rate. Instead of being phase shift keying, this is frequency shift keying. You notice how there's 2 red lines there on that waterfall. One red line is your frequency for your mark. The other one is the frequency for your space, or your 1 and your 0, and it just goes back and forth between those to give you data. JT65, the 65 comes from the number of tones it uses rather than the speed at which it transmits. And as it says in the slide, it takes 47 seconds to transmit 13 characters. However, the advantage you get with JT65 is it works below the noise floor. So even if you can't see that signal on your FFT, you can't really see that signal in your waterfall, your receiver is able to pick up those tones from the noise floor and decode it. And it gives you the ability to make contact with people very, very far away. It's also popular in moon bounce. So you can actually point an antenna at the moon, shoot a lot of power at the moon, and then a little tiny bit, little fraction of that, what you transmit, it gets reflected back to the Earth. And that's using VHF and UHF frequencies.
How much power do you
Typically about 500 watts. You could do it with less than that. And the higher the frequency, you could actually use a little bit less power. And then there's APRS, which is just like a very fast burst, 1200 baud. APRS is automatic packet reporting system, which is what amateurs use to sort of send text messages. And they also use it to report their position, the weather, a bunch of other things. And we'll play with APRS a little bit tonight as well. And then there's a bunch of others out there, Thor, Olivia, POXAG, which we'll cover a little bit more later, Packet, Feldhell, Whisper, you name it. There's a whole bunch of different modes out there. FL Digi does most of them, but not all of them. Like SSTV is, I guess that's not really, SSTV is more analog than it is digital, but it's still something that you'd need a computer to decode rather than just listening to it. POXAG is done by a program separate from FL Digi. APRS is separate from FL Digi. JT65 is also separate from FL Digi, now that I think about it.
So FL Digi does not have JT65?
Nope. So with JT65, you actually need time synchronization and a bunch of other stuff to get it to work right, so it's just all built in one program. But it's a free, think open source program, so that's alright. But we won't do any JT65 in here. Alright, so now we're going to talk about locating a signal, or basically finding out what frequency it's on. So what frequency is a signal on? There's many different ways you can find it out. If you know what the signal is that you're looking for, you can go online, do a little bit of research. The FCC publishes a bunch of stuff. There's a nice chart that the FCC has out there, which I'll bring up in a moment. There's also databases online where you can just go in and type in what you're looking for, or type in the area that you're in, and it just tells you, like, BWI is on this set of frequencies, Anne Arundel County Police is on this set of frequencies. So a lot of that is public information. On the other hand, if you are looking for a signal, you have no idea what it is, or you found a signal, you have no idea what it is, look at the frequency that it's on. Again, you can go online, type in that frequency, it'll tell you what's there if it knows. You could look at that FCC chart, and again, that'll tell you, give you a general idea of what you should be looking for. And Google can be your best friend in this situation. If you don't know what something is, you can Google the hell out of it. So the frequency allocations are assigned by the FCC, which is Federal Communications Commission. And then there's an international version of that called the International Telecommunications Union, or ITU. So that link, which is also in that first QR code, brings up the FCC chart. I also have a copy of the FCC chart on the share drive here, which, let's see, on Ubuntu, I don't know if you can type that in or not, but I know if you click network, then you click Ubuntu, and then you click outgoing. Right, buddy? It's the outgoing folder? And then you go to classes. So I had it really simple before on the old file server, where it's just like, you go to the file server and you click signal analysis, but now there's like 4 folders deep you have to go. But classes and events, signal analysis, and then there should be the FCC frequency allocation chart. Yeah, QR Droid will pick that up from all the way in the back of the classroom. If not, there's the TV back there also has the QR codes up. Or I put a shortened URL up so you can just type that in. And then if you want to just look at the amateur radio bands, if that's all you're interested in is the amateur radio bands, you can go look at ARRL's frequency allocation chart. And then there's also, if you find a digital mode, you're not sure what it is, you can go online, type in the frequency somewhere. There's a few websites that do it, and it'll tell you what digital modes are using that frequency. So suppose you were on 14.071 megahertz. There, if you went online, you type that in, you'd see that PSK 31 and PSK 63 are used at 14.071 megahertz. They want need those QR codes or those links. I'll pause here for a bit if you need it. No? Okay. Didn't want that. Go away. All right. Oops. So GQRX has bookmarks. We covered that a little bit last week. In a moment, we're going to do an exercise where we go through and we bookmark a bunch of stuff. Bookmarks can go into categories. So maybe you want a 2-meter category. Maybe you want a wideband FM category. Maybe you want a unknown signals category. Maybe if you're a couple weeks when you do the CTF here, you'll want a category just for the signals that you find in the CTF.
I want my point.
What?
It's your mic.
Oh. Yeah, my mic is an RF mess. It's supposed to be on like 115 megahertz, but it's everywhere. It's straight from China. It's fantastic. So, oh, apparently I never finished the slide where it says bookmark screenshot here. I was supposed to take a screenshot and finish the slide. That is totally my fault. But now we're going to do a little exercise. So go ahead and bring up a terminal. If you don't remember, if you're on Ubuntu, just do Control-Alt-T. If you're not on Ubuntu, I'm assuming you just know how to get to your terminal because I asked if you are a beginner to use Ubuntu. So GQRX, and then just to reset all your settings, so everyone's starting with a clean slate, we're going to do a -R. Then find your RTL dongle. Pick a sample rate appropriate for your computer. I like 2.4 million. And remember that the sample rate determines the RF bandwidth, how much RF you can see at one time. You click OK, and that comes up on my screen. Let me bring it over to yours. You should have that screen as long as you put in -R. So you come up to the corner, you click the little power button, or if you compile this from source, you get a little play button with the most recent version. And then your waterfall looks something like that. Your FFT looks something like that. Why are the edges cut off? I guess it's just a soft. Come over to FFT settings. Make sure that the FFT size is appropriate for the speed of your computer. So if your computer is not all that fast, you might want to turn that down. If your computer is like gaming laptop, super high speed, you could probably put that up kind of high. Next, go to input controls. By default, this LNA gain is cranked all the way up. You don't want that, that's bad. So if you bring it down somewhere between 25 and 30 is fine. So you're using a hack RF, I take it?
No, just dongle.
And you haven't, oh, you have a different, you have the old, that has like the E400 tuner in it, doesn't it?
Probably.
So put them both in the middle.
Okay.
When in doubt, just put it in the middle. And now you'll notice that your frequency correction will be reset from last week. So we'll go through, we'll do a little exercise where we calibrate our dongle. And then I made a bookmark for NOAA weather. Some of you may have as well. If you go to exactly 162.400 megahertz, make sure it's all zeros. And then you can zoom in using your favorite method. I like the scroll wheel. Some laptops will let you use 2 fingers on the touchpad. If you come over to FFT settings, there's also a zoom slider. For this, as long as you keep your demodulation off, it's okay to increase the FFT size so you get a better view of that signal. Gives you like a sharper image of it, less pixelated. And you come back to input controls. And then you can move that up or down depending on how far off center that signal is. And remember, while you're doing this, make sure that your frequency is exactly 162.400 with all zeros after that.
Or you go back to receiver options.
Say it again.
Can you go back to receiver options?
What about receiver options? Oh, you can just keep that as DMOD off. Now, from now on, whenever you open GQRX back up, you can leave that -R off. When you leave the -R off, that remembers all your settings from last time. I just want to go through this little exercise with you one more time just to remind you how to do it. So once you're all calibrated, go ahead and click the R in the FFT settings tab, and that will reset your display. Say it again? I'm not really sure what that bumpy noise is, but like all these little spikes, that's the gigabit switch that's sitting over here.
That just started.
Did it just start? I feel like it didn't just start, because it was there all day when I was playing with this. Now, someone in here want to use their Google search or use their knowledge existing in their head and tell me what the FM broadcast range is. The frequency range of FM broadcasts from in the United States. And we'll simplify it a little bit and we'll say it's 88 megahertz to 108. Marker sucks. So what we're going to do is we're going to bookmark all the existing FM stations in the area. So we'll start at the bottom of that range. And you can keep your demodulator off for this. Cut down on the noise in the classroom. So we'll start here. We see we have 88.1 as a station, so we'll put that tuner exactly 88.1. And we'll come up here, we'll click the little bookmarks guy. It says bookmark the current frequency and mode. So you do that. First we'll create a new tag. We'll call that new tag FM broadcast. And then we'll name the bookmark, and we'll just call it 88.1. If you know what station this is, you can give it a name. So this might be NPR or something like that. And then you can sort of see we have another one really low in the noise floor. It's up to you. It's up to you what your threshold is for whether or not you want to bookmark it. So I see another one over here at 88.9. So again, we'll bookmark. We'll click the check mark for the FM broadcast tag. We'll just call that 88.9. And then we'll just keep scrolling up 100 kilohertz at a time. So at 89.7, we landed on another channel. So again, bookmark, FM broadcast tag. And then just keep going through the rest of the frequencies like this. Now going through doing this, what do you notice about the frequencies that all the radio stations are on?
They all have noise on them.
It's not the answer I was looking for, but probably. Yep, so that's really what I was getting at is the digit after the decimal point is always an odd number. And then someone also brought up these little bands down the side. Does anyone know what those little square bands are?
I think those are the HD stations.
Yep. Yep, so there's something called HD radio, and that's what those little square bands are, is the HD radio. I think it's some proprietary protocol. I haven't seen any programs that decode that. Anyone want to take a guess why we're going through and bookmarking all of these stations?
So that when you put one up in the air, we'll know that it's not those ones?
Yep.
Basically make our face know pure noise trying to get it from this.
Don't worry about the noise. Just go by, keep the demodulator off, and
Looking at the waterfall for your station.
yeah, all those really sharp spikes that you're seeing, that's the gigabit switch. And if you unplug the switch, those go away. But please don't unplug the switch because that is the switch that this live stream is going through.
Faraday cage.
Yeah.
I keep having it where it stops analyzing the signal and just repeats the last signal ad nauseum, like kind of freezes up. You know what's going on?
What?
Forward sponsors froze.
I need to see this. Excuse me?
So, like-
Try lowering your FFT size.
Just smears, and if I stop it and then restart it, they'll recognize that it was doing something wrong.
Oh, you mean, so, yeah, that means your dongle's freezing up. Like, that's what happens when you unplug your dongle, is it just, like, turns into a bunch of crap.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I always have to set my PPM value like, every time I switch stations.
You shouldn't need to set your PPM value every time you switch stations. So it should be when you go to the no weather,
Yeah.
you make sure the no weather is perfectly set, like, make sure the no weather is, well, set your frequency to 162.4 megahertz exactly.
Yeah.
And then you change the PPM value until no weather is centered on that, and then that's it. You shouldn't need to touch the PPM after that. So how do I know when to stop bookmarking the stations?
Your board?
Yep, so I reached this 108 megahertz, so that's all I have to do is from 88 megahertz to 108 megahertz, and I don't need to bookmark anymore. Who's still working on the FM stations? All right, I'll give you a few more minutes to work on that.
Are you gonna actually broadcast in the FM range?
I am. You're allowed up to 1 watt.
Really?
Mhm.
I thought it was like 500 milliwatts.
Maybe. It's not much. It's definitely, whatever it is way more than what my HackRF ever does.
I remember building
All right, how many people do we still have bookmarking the FM stations?
34 seconds.
All right. In the meantime, I'm going to get this ready.
If you reset your settings when you launch GQRX,
Bookmarks stay. It's like a separate file.
can you edit the file directly?
You probably can if you know where it's stored. I don't know where it's stored.
I feel like that might be quicker.
If you know off the top of your head all the stations that where they are and like, because what you're going through here is bookmarking all the current signals that you see. That way, once everyone says they're done bookmarking, I'm going to put up my own signal, and you get to find it.
So I went up here and I clicked view and I did bookmarks. Sorry.
Yes, thank you.
Makes life a little easier.
Is everyone okay if I take a picture? Because I really want a picture of all these antennas. Oh.
Back.
I don't think... You want it from the back, Wasabi?
So nobody's face.
Does anyone have a problem with their face being in the picture? You do, Verdi? You got a hood?
These things happen.
So I feel like if I take the picture from the back, I'm not going to be able to get the full effect of it. Yeah, Brady, can you like put your head down for a second? Because you're the only one that... Oh, yeah. Are you okay with your face being in a picture? Because I'm about to take a picture. Okay, cool. Smile. Okay.
I
Yes.
still have that same problem. So I can tune into
So I think what you might be experiencing is...
Is it my antenna too small? Like I'm supposed to hear this, I'm assuming. Like I can barely hear.
So go to your receive options. Squelch is good. Oh, see how it says mode narrow FM?
Yeah.
Change that to wideband FM. Wideband FM stereo specifically for these. And zoom way out, because... Yeah.
What's the deal with this like ghost station on like 103.845?
Yeah, I heard about this place actually.
What do you mean ghost station?
I mean, it's like it's not on a legit number. It's like way off.
Oh, hang on 1 second. Keep it there.
Am I supposed to be able to hear these stations? Am I?
You should, yeah. With the wideband FM, you should be able to hear that. Go to 99.1 instead of 88.1. It's a very prominent station.
88.1?
99.1. You should be able to hear that fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You need to use tools or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Alright, is everyone done bookmarking? Who is not done bookmarking? Alright. So now there's a new FM station. And by the way, it's not going to sound good unless you use wide FM mono to decode it, because I can't get a stereo flow graph working in GNU Radio. So now how you find that is you just keep going down, same process as before, but instead of stopping the bookmark, you just keep going down. And eventually you'll find a new station that's not bookmarked. I don't think it went away. It should be there.
It's not music, is it?
There should be music.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint. I'm nowhere close to it yet. I'm just showing you the process of looking for it.
If you bookmark all those frequencies, say look for everything but
So not in this program, but I'm sure there's some way you can write a script that does that.
Say stereo or mono?
Mono to decode mine. One day,
Do you have content playing on it?
there should be content playing on it. So the audio gain slider down at the bottom, if that's at -20, put that up above 0. And it looks like I found it, so I'll just come down to 93.5.
So like an 80s band?
Yep. So I'll do that, and then I'll come to receiver options,
It's Rush, so
DMod, WBFM mono.
late 70s, early 80s Rush. Neil Peart. You know Neil Peart.
For those of you in the back, how strong is this signal for you? Coming, all right, cool.
Yeah, it's still transmitting.
How do you view the bookmarks on the spectrum? Can you do that?
So if you can't see the bookmarks currently, come up to View, which if you're using Unity and Ubuntu, you're going to have to bring your mouse all the way to the very top of the screen. Click View, and then Bookmarks, and they'll bring a bar at the bottom. And then if you tag them, make sure the tag for your bookmarks are checked. So like I have the FM broadcast tag. If I uncheck that, well, my bookmark should go away when I uncheck that. So I don't know what's going on there.
So that way you can actually see it. They're moving side to side.
What are
Yep.
the ranges that you are going to use?
For the CTF,
Yeah.
the CTF is going to be amateur radio bands and the FM broadcast band, anywhere I'm allowed to transmit. That is all I can tell you. You can do it perfectly fine with the RTL SDR. It takes a little bit longer, but you can still do it.
I think for that night I'm going to bring in a better laptop.
Yeah,
Something fighting for horsepower.
All right, did anyone not find the signal yet? Whitney, hurry up. If you're really curious and you really don't know, that is Spirit of the Radio by Rush. I thought it would be appropriate to play that. Say again? Yeah, between last week and this week, I spent a lot of time in GNU Radio just trying to like optimize my flow graphs for transmitting in a way that doesn't suck, and I feel like I have succeeded. Yep, I killed it.
I just put my head down. I went here and it just stopped. I was like, wait.
Yep, I killed it, sorry. Alright, so I'll put the DMod back to off. And we'll go back to fun things like slides. So everyone get an idea how to use the bookmarks in GQRX and why they're helpful? If you did not have that bookmarked, how long would it have taken you to find that?
Probably it would be difficult to distinguish outside of what was already being broadcast.
See, the thing about the bookmarks is you just do it once, and that's it. Or what I like to do before CTF is I get there early, before they're transmitting anything. You go through everything. You say, okay, that's a signal that's already here. That's a signal that's already here. You know, Wasabi, that's the whole point of this class, is to teach people how to do that. So then now when you go to tune into stuff and you see new signals, you're spending a lot more time looking at the signals you should be looking at and not at stuff that's going to be wasting your time. All right, so now we're going to identify and demodulate signals, which there I told you what to do. I told you to use wideband FM mono, and then that gave you Spirit of the Radio by Rush. But that doesn't always work. People are now always around to say, hey, that's what this is. You have to go through and figure that on your own. So if the signal's on a published frequency, you might be able to just go online and type in the frequency and tell it that you're an Anne Arundel County, and it might say that it's some sort of DMR that's used by the police. And then is the signal using a published protocol? Pretty much all protocols that are out there have some sort of white paper talking about them. They have some sort of website or blog where people have done stuff with it before. And then does the waterfall pattern look familiar? Those of you amateur radio operators that use signals or digitals in the HF bands, if you look at a signal on your waterfall, you might say, hey, that looks like PSK 31, or hey, that looks like APRS. It might be something that's just familiar to you. Now, I'm not going to get you to become familiar in this class. That's something you got to go out and practice on your own. And then from there, apply different demodulators. Does using the AM demodulator sound better? Does using the narrowband FM demodulator sound better? Whatever sounds best to your ears is probably going to sound best to whatever program you're using to decode that signal. Now, some digital signals just sound awful no matter what you do. But just pick the one that sounds the least awful. And there's another great website out there called sigidwiki.com. Now you can just go in your web browser, type that in. Don't do it all at once because it will not load if you do that. That website provides pictures of signals, like the pictures of the waterfall. It provides sound clips. And if all of you go to that website right now, it's going to crash because our internet can't handle that. If anything else, you're going to crash my live stream.
That's very honest. Means you need to use better compression.
Well, if someone that knows how to stream to YouTube using Linux software wants to teach me how to do this the right way, I am open to listening to them. Anyone still need this link? Going once, going twice? Cool. All right. After you identify a signal, what do you do with it? You have to decode it. And that's, you feed it to FLDigi, you feed it to QSSTV, you feed it to all these different programs, not at once because your computer can't handle that. And eventually one of them is going to give you some sort of intelligible information. So who remembers last week what frequency I put that CW up on? Yep, 146.550. So if you open up GQRX, you go to, helps up on the right screen. And then I even made a bookmark, 146550. I want you to determine what is the best demodulator to use. Listen to it, does it sound familiar? And then once you determine that it's familiar to you, open the appropriate program and try to decode it. Now just as a reminder, Control-Shift-T opens a new tab in your terminal. Last week we used something called Pulse Audio Volume Control to pipe the audio to another program. So if you go to the terminal and you type PAV and then you hit tab, it'll fill out the rest. And it should be PAVU Control. Hit enter and it should pop up with a nice little GUI on my screen. So now you get this, you get to the recording tab. And you currently should, unless you have FLDigi open, you should not have anything there. So to get FLDigi open, Control-Shift-T again, new tab, FLDigi, enter, and wrong screen again. So now FLDigi screen should look like that. Now, uh-oh. Oh, I know what the issue is. If you're having problems in FLDigi, you go to Configure, Sound Card, make sure you're using Pulse Audio, click Save. Open your volume control. Houston, we have a bug. I'm going to close both of those. Quit. Make sure it's set to monitor of built-in analog stereo, which it is. Open GQRX back up. And I'm going to pick the, helps if I'm on the right screen with the mouse, narrow FM, because that's what it is. I'm going to lower this down a bit. Close to 0. Open FLDigi back up. Now what does that signal sound like to everyone? Yep. So that's a pretty distinct sound, right? You would know that versus something else, right? And the best part is that's not a skill you have to learn. That's a skill that's already built in your brain. So just click CW. And then if it wants to play nice, it should decode. And it is not playing nice. That is why it's not playing nice. Drop that a bit. No, it's very poppy, choppy, so I decided I'm not going to play the sounds over the internet. In theory, it should decode. The computer doesn't want to cooperate with me today. Probably because I got too much stuff open. Where's that? I do.
I'll do it.
What? No, it's still there.
No, no, it's still very much going.
So for those of you not running streaming software at the same time as doing this, it should decode for you.
Die processor.
Say again? Oh, yeah.
Does this look like, is yours working right now? Doesn't do anything.
Okay, so you got some of it there, AK ammo, and then it died on you. And also, what I'm noticing is you're, go back over here, just picking up a lot of extra stuff, like my voice. So what you need to do is go to pulse audio volume control.
I'm operating.
Open the terminal. Open the terminal. That's Mac, I'm sorry. Pulse audio volume control does exist in Mac though.
It does?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yours is going, what is going on with it? Are you running a VM or something?
No.
Why is that going super speed for you?
What, this guy?
Everything. Like your whole computer is just like running and like that's going by faster than it should.
Oh, really? I mean, the only thing I did was, I twiddled these a little bit.
No,
earlier.
those are set where they should be.
Yeah. But
And then
this guy, I'm not when I clicked through it earlier, it may have been different from the way you set it up before. You want to click through it again? I can keep playing with it.
I don't know why that's running at like super speed for you though. It's strange. Like the sample rate somewhere is wrong.
Okay, alright.
How do you clean that up?
It looks like I get like this, and then it gets like.
So go open pulse audio volume control. And then recording.
Which one?
Recording.
Okay.
Yeah, let's listen to the right thing. Open GQRX. See your FFT size? Drop that down to like 2048.
Yeah, last time I was doing it way up here, so.
Like drop that way down to
Way down.
way down. And then go back to FLDigi. There you go. Now it's decoding cleanly for you.
So is that just because of processing speed and stuff? And
Yep. The processor can't handle it. So your FFT calculation takes up a lot of CPU. So the higher you have that number, the more time it spends doing that calculation. And then it takes a bit of CPU to pass the audio from one program to another, and then FL Digi has its own CPU.
Everything's taking a trip off.
Yep. His fix.
It's good to know just you're not getting it through that.
Yeah. You're just going.
What results from like us?
Anyone back here having trouble?
Yeah, but it's more fundamental. I'm actually doing pretty well going through the microphone and picking up other people's signals.
But it's not working through PABU.
But
What's your FFT size in GQRX?
the GQRX is not getting any meaningful signal. I haven't gotten that set up
Go
right.
to input controls. Your SDR is plugged into the antenna.
Yeah, that's the biggest suspect. Last week I had trouble with that connector. When I got home, I found the center pin had been pushed all the way back down.
Ooh.
I pulled it back out with some needle nose.
Yeah,
It seemed to work at the time, but
check your antenna again.
not so much anymore. I diagnosed it last week because someone had spare.
Just in case.
Do you know what it means when GQRX just inputs like those all over your screen?
That's an overrun, so it's getting too much data. I mean, something is not happy there. Something is really unhappy there. Excuse me?
Mine does that when I'm changing my FFT window until it catches.
Oh, did you unplug your dongle? Something, that whole thing froze.
Yeah. Maybe it's too hot.
No, it shouldn't be a heat issue. I would just control C and try to open it back up. Yes, you want to modify the settings. And then, yep, that all looks like it should. Yeah. If you remember your PPM offset, you just type that in every time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really? Every time?
It'll be it should be close to the same every time if you remember what it is.
The heat can change.
Say again?
When it gets hotter, it can kind of drift a little bit, right?
A little bit, but like his has a 50 ppm offset, his has a 67 ppm offset. It'll drift within like 2 or 3 ppm.
I started out at 0.
Yeah.
That normal temperature field.
Yep. Is anyone not decoding it?
I think I bombed my sound card.
So go to FFT settings.
Right, okay, so same thing. It's like I'm overwhelming.
Go to FFT settings. And drop your FFT size down to 2048. And I would fiddle around with your volume settings. Like, so see your 11 dB right there? Drop that down to 0. Give it a second. It picked up an A. That's a good sign. No, nope, still not looking good.
So if I stop it and spell it,
That shouldn't make a difference. It's gonna be like, you just gotta fiddle with the audio settings and maybe drop your. Oh, you've got an i3 in your computer, so drop that FFT size down to 1024. Oh, it started to go.
yeah, but it won't
Cool.
stay.
So keep it at 1024.
So it's just I just can't keep up. So I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to keep playing with the settings until eventually you're gonna hit this like sweet spot in your settings, and it's gonna start working.
Okay, no problem.
Say again?
Is there a way to see the bookmarks?
Yes. Go to the very.
I can see it on the screen.
Yep. Go to the very, very top of your screen with your mouse, and then click View. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Unity for that reason. Bookmarks, and then there you go.
And then I can just click on here to go to the...
Yep, you can click on one and it'll just go right to it. You can edit them a little bit. The editing function on it kind of sucks, but it's a program that's in active development, so maybe there will be more to come. Oh, geez. So everyone remember this slide from last week?
Yeah.
You should say no because there's like an extra program on it. Just one little extra word, that's it. But yes, so that's your signal analysis workflows. Say again? So that's your signal analysis workflow. You just, GQRX is your receiver. Then you pipe that to another program using pulse audio volume control. If your computer's a little on the slower side, you can take an aux cable, go audio microphone port into your headphone jack. So some of you that are having trouble decoding this stuff, Mac users, do you have separate audio, like separate ports for your microphone, your output? And start with the i3 computer. You might want to try that as well. Just get an aux cable out of your microphone port and into your headphone port, and see if that decodes better for you. So there's a line there that says that all the decoding is done with a program external from your receiver. However, GQRX does have one built-in decoder. And it can decode 1200 BPS signals, like APRS. So let me bring that up. Reset. So who knows the APRS frequency? Yep. So it's 144.39 for APRS. Receive options. Nope. 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 There we go. So at some point my radio should. So if you go up here to the top and you click in Tools, AFSK 1200 decoder. For you, those guys at Unity, bring your mouse all the way to the very, very top of the screen and it'll reveal those menus. You say GQRX crashed on you? Yeah. Ooh. Tools. If you're using Unity, bring your mouse to the very, very, very top of the screen, and you'll get a bar there.
AS 1200 decoder?
Yep, AFSK 1200.
I agree, it's got no buttons also.
What? Oh, you're having that QT issue on Mint?
He's got it, his is fine. I got no buttons.
Oh.
You got buttons, that's all that matters.
You don't need to press the buttons if it makes you feel better. And at some point, my radio will send out an APRS beacon. I don't know when. It has to wait until it gets a GPS signal, and even then it only does it like every 3 minutes or something like that. APRS, Automatic Packet Reporting System. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for that to do a thing, I'm going to get the next signal for you.
Yeah, so stuff.
I didn't get it to work.
Say again?
So it popped the signal, but nothing decoded.
How strong was the signal that it popped?
It went red on the flow chart. So it was reasonably strong.
No, that's going to be like, you'll know when that goes. It will be like, oh.
Get a fryer dollars.
No, I won't fry it. I just heard someone mention room full of antennas. I would really love to see the way IF propagates in here, going like some of the really long antennas like that it reflects off of. Some of the shorter ones, if they're less than half the wavelength, kind of acts as a director. Come on, radio. You can do it. I wonder if there's a way I can force this thing to go.
Maybe walk outside and get a better signal.
No. No, it's really not going to go. There we go.
Is it turned on?
It is on.
It has battery.
I charged the battery today.
Is it getting the GPS signal?
Yeah, I don't think it is because I'm pressing the beacon TX button. It's still not going. So in the meantime,
Open up the back door and stick it
Walk
outside.
outside.
so the GPS in that handheld is known for like taking a sweet time getting a lock. So in the meantime, we'll mosey our way back up to 146.550. Oops. Bookmark.
Does your radio have a, it shows the strength of signal? It's mine's like peaked. Like it's receiving something.
What frequency are you on?
That's the 144.390.
144.39. Yeah, I'm not getting anything.
Seeing something. That's,
Is your squelch open?
I have my squelch on this. Obviously, maybe yours isn't transmitting because it's got too much junk on the channel that's transmitting APRS speaking.
Well, that was me. So that's how strong the signal should be when. That was me just pushing the push to talk button.
I'm like,
James, I have no idea what's going on with your radio.
It's normally not like that. It's just here.
That's weird. Alright, so I'm gonna drop that. And it's probably making an awful mess on the band, maybe. There we go. It's better. Alright, there should be a new signal there. Same frequency, 146.550. It's still narrow FM demodulation. Everything we do tonight is going to be narrow FM. Wonder if there's any chance of FL Digi working with this one. I'm going to guess not, but we'll see. Oh, it does. Look at that.
where was that 1200? What'd you get? PSK.
Yes.
Or do I need to spread this out somehow?
Oh, so we're not on CW anymore, and also you probably want so go into Pulse Audio Volume Control and make sure you're taken in from monitor of built-in audio. Yep, see where it says built-in analog stereo? Change that to monitor of.
Sorry, I'm confused. Isn't that what we did last time for the last?
Last time we did monitor of built-in analog stereo. So built-in analog stereo is your it's like your microphone, and then your monitor of is just whatever's going on in your computer. So now you have just that, but that's a different decoder type. You can either cheat and look at the screen, or you can think about it for a little bit, use your SIG ID wiki. All right, so I'm going to give you all a break for a little bit. You can either keep trying to decode this signal, or just talk to your neighbor, or think about life. I'm going to bring this outside and see if it picks up GPS signal. Someone said something?
I got it right, but I'm decoding the message.
Oh, so in GQRX for this, you're not going to be able to tell as well. However, when you open FLDigi, bring FLDigi up, and then that's really where you're going to see a distinct difference in like what.
How did I know that?
Experience really. So.
Because all I did was come here and like, okay, pick one.
Mm-hmm. So sometimes you can just brute force it. You could use the SIG ID wiki and find something that matches up with it.
So you're just looking for a pattern.
Yep, a pattern basically.
Basically what it looks like and stuff.
Yep, what it looks like, what it sounds like is definitely, you could probably identify it faster by sound than you can by sight. And if you practice enough, you get the experience of like, hey, this signal sounds like this, or this signal sounds like...
Whereabouts to start, basically.
Yep.
Okay, gotcha.
Hey! It did a thing. It's working now. 144.390.
And I can see the broadcasting shows live full waterfall just went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Frequency, we running that one on?
44390.
All right, let's see if the computer's going to cooperate and actually decode the stuff while all that's going. Yep, cool.
Kind of works.
So something, but I'm not getting anything into the decoder.
Yeah, make sure you're right on 144.390.
444.388 is what it showed up as for me.
And your PPM is wrong.
Smashed.
I don't know.
At the start of the session, I smashed it. Could be wandering. RTOs are known to wander.
Oh, yeah, definitely. As they heat up, they do wander a little bit.
You know what?
Can FLDigi decode that as well?
No, that's, there are programs that will. That's part of the homework is finding out what other ones will.
Oh, hey, it did get it.
Cool.
It's all good.
Oh.
First world problems.
Anyone have the AFSK 1200 window open that has not decoded the APRS signal yet?
Yeah, I had to restart.
So I'll let a lot of people try to get ready, and then I'll push the transmit beacon button.
So for that, for the 144.39, you should be in what?
So 144.39, you should be in narrowband FM, and then you go up to the very top. Like if you're using Unity and Ubuntu, bring your mouse all the way to the very top of the screen. You should get a bar there. You click Tools, and then at the bottom of that menu should be AFSK 1200 decoder. Yep. No, that's not an FL Digi thing. How many people do we have ready with the AFSK 1200 screen? Okay, I'll push the TX button.
Oh, yes. We have a hello. With a bunch of gibberish.
And I have this on low power.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just floods the whole van.
How long can you have that go?
What does it say again?
How long can you just hold down the...
Oh no, I push the function button and I press beacon TX, and then it's a very short burst. It's 1200 baud.
Mine catches it but doesn't decode it.
Yeah, so there's something called an APRS iGate, which is just an internet gateway, and that listens for those signals on that one frequency. And people all over the area, they transmit like where they are. Some are like weather stations.
So there's no like standard.
Yeah, it's a standard for that software to decode it.
Okay.
Like all that, what looks like
/40 or
yeah, that's something. The position data is like encoded in that somehow.
Time data?
No, the timestamp is done by GQRX.
This is not actually interpreting it correctly.
Who is SYTX?
I think that's some sort. I think that's just any iGate thing. So I Google searched that and it came up with like nothing.
Yeah,
So it
show up like call sign.
it might just. Yeah, I can.
Any reason why I should? So I'm seeing it. It's definitely there, but my AFSK decoder is not. I definitely see a peak at.
Yeah, your FFT size looks like fine. Close pulse audio volume control in FL Digi, and then I'll do it again. You might just be. Ooh, your audio was like maxed out into wherever you were feeding it into. Yeah, keep that close to 0. You ready?
It is your turn to talk for 2 minutes.
Nothing still?
Yes,
Same thing. I see you big red flash, waterfall.
Yep.
See a big peak. Nothing. AFSK.
Huh. What's your processor? What do you have for a processor? i5. It should in theory be able to do it.
So I think I got the better performance. Actually, it was worried.
I think mine's not so good.
I'm thinking I need a heat sink for this thing.
No, the case is a heat sink. They get warm, and that's the whole point. Is the heat of the aluminum casing? There's a thermal pad in there that's pressed against the chip that gets hot, and against the case, and that. The plastic dongles, those get pretty hot too. And then if you take the plastic cover off and touch the little chip, it's pretty toasty. Like he's got one without the cover on it. If you want to, I don't know if he'll let you touch his dongle.
So, does your handy enough, is it not transferred its locations?
So all that gobbledygook, I think that's encoded somehow for the iGate to understand position.
the worst experience I've had is Arizona. I was driving a windstorm picked up. Now it's down by the south border. And just all of a sudden, tumbleweed.
Oh no.
I don't think you're gonna see me because I don't think we're in range of an eye gate here.
80 miles an hour. Some people are just like, oh, something.
I mean, if someone has an eye gate they want to set up, you're more than welcome to. You're not gonna see me come up.
Where the world go?
Yeah.
Sick.
And I was doing fine. Like there's little white bushes, no biggie.
No, it doesn't hit a repeater, but it hits an eye gate somewhere. I don't know where the nearest one is. I know it's not near here though.
To the windshield.
You want to try one more time just to see if you're a little...
2 seconds. Get back on the
Boy, see, it's not so bad during the day. It's a
Yeah, I can see that.
practical one of those things.
Okay,
I
ready?
can see that.
There's one,
I was actually
3 miles away.
camping. I was Grand Canyon, middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I've been some low power set.
You're like, I'm away.
That would do it.
I was actually bored out or something. I'll get out that way as often as I can. She's on Phoenix after that.
Gotcha. My second mother is in Jesus. Actually, my third mother.
How many people got this working? Is anyone still struggling with the PSK 31? So the PSK 31 is on 146.550.
146. Oh, okay. Let me try that again.
Yeah, I got no luck. Is it this one?
Yep. And yeah, BPSK 31.
What do these mean?
So actually it'll break if there's a lot of signals in your waterfall. It'll scroll text of like all the signals that it sees.
Oh, I see.
Go to FFT settings down here. Drop your FFT size way down. Let's see if that helps it.
And what's this stuff on the side here?
This is like the signal level it takes to decode. Oh, there's this little slider, bring it all the way down to the bottom.
What is that?
That is, so it has to break a certain signal level
Oh, that's
before it'll.
switch.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, what bothers me is this looks very grainy and wrong.
Well, I'm using, this is Windows, not, I'm using a tool that's called Cable A.
Yeah, I use that with my ANAN 2200.
I just installed it today, so it's the first time I've really screwed around with it. If I turn on my speakers, it quits working. I'm running it as fast as I can. Right.
No, you want to run that at 48,000. Here. Because this program's expecting it at 48,000, I think. It's expecting whatever your sound card normally runs at.
Twenty-four bit or 16-bit?
No, try 24-bit. And then go back to... No, that broke it. There it goes. Okay, go over to FL Digi. Or not FL, I'm sorry, GQRX. Oh god, your icons are missing.
Yes.
I think, let me cheat. Okay, that's what would be the second icon? Configure. Yeah, so that should be 48,000. Yep. Okay. Something is really unhappy there.
I see something here, something there. I don't know what these. I mean, this is so narrow. When I look at the, like the bandwidth of it's really narrow.
Yeah. So I tried getting GQRX going on Windows, and it just gave me error after error. So it might just not play nice with Windows. Do you have the AFSK 1200 window up?
No, it says GQRX software defined radio receiver and nothing where it says, oh, 2.3. Wow.
It took a while. I think this one, there's something else that took forever to build. There's some. Actually, you got it.
So I did get it working.
Mm-hmm.
So before, when the audio was like clipping, I could see it over here. Mm-hmm. This time around, I was able to like fiddle with the gain a lot more, and it still worked.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the right way to actually make sure the audio is not clipping?
So make sure you have like either a blue or a black background, and then your signal, like it is there, it should be a yellow.
Does it go above yellow? Does it have red too? Or?
Ideally, it shouldn't. Well, red is like you're going into the red, like that's
so
too strong.
you don't judge based by this guy?
No.
Okay. All right.
I don't even know how that's calculated because sometimes it's up all the way and sometimes it's just not there at all.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
It's like I want to be able to help you, but I don't know what goes on in Windows with this.
So what's the frequency here?
The frequency up there, so if you had like a Kenwood rig or a Yaesu rig and you had a cable to hook your computer up to that rig, that frequency would control the frequency on your radio.
So it doesn't really do anything?
It does absolutely nothing for what we're doing in this class.
So we're pushing audio into this?
Yep.
And this is the audio waterfall out to 3 kilohertz?
Yep. Roger, you got yourself a mess there. I don't know what signal you're trying to do.
I don't know what's going on with that though.
What's the right numbers for the right numbers for the PSK setup and here for AFC?
Oh, I'd leave those as the defaults. I've never changed those numbers ever in my life.
Okay.
What really concerns me is the way your waterfall looks. It just looks wrong. Like I feel like it just shouldn't look like that at all. And then even over here, like you come in the background. Well, okay, that's because you got your dB settings there changed, but that shouldn't affect how your signal and FLDG looks. I'd say if you got enough time to beat your head against it one night, just go through and try and basically make your waterfall look like how mine does up on the projector screen, or trying to find someone around here that has one that looks good.
Well, what I'm seeing here is as I change my FFT settings over here with this, it's changing the way this looks.
Ooh, see that rate 60 FPS?
Yep.
Drop that down to 25. And it still didn't. I'm just trying to think of everything that would reduce your CPU load right now, because that's usually the problem that people have is CPU load. And then also, if all else fails, try out loop that cable and see if that has a better result.
I only have a single jack on this thing. It's combined. Mike.
I'd just swap
Okay.
to the RTL.
Yes? Give me 1 second. Work? Cool.
So I'm getting it now, but it's just mine not really optimized.
Hang on, bring GQRX up. See that gain, how it's 20 something? Bring it down to 0. Nope, it's too low. It should be 0. Perfect, right there. Leave it. And something is feeding in audio from somewhere else extra. Oh, that's right. You're using the.
I found I'm using different software. It's not the Mac. It's another router. It's called the Sound router.
So make sure only the FL-Digi or only the GQRX input is going into your in there. Only your system sounds.
How sensitive is this to wherever I click in here?
It should auto track.
Okay.
Your signal looks a little blurry. But if you got a clean signal like I have up there, looks like Roger fixed whatever problem he was having. If you get a clean signal, it will auto track. Like you might almost have a clean enough signal to click right in the center of that, and it should do something for you.
So, but if
It's still not doing it.
if it's having a problem, then how can I improve it?
Just keep playing with your settings until it does the thing. That's what I do.
Can you scan through these? Like, you know, it says like a frequency scan. Is there a way to say, try all and see if it makes sense of anything?
I've never used the frequency analysis function on that, but as far as I know, you can't just make it scan through everything.
Okay, because it obviously doesn't input anything here. So I would know it wasn't CW.
What did you say again?
When I switch that to CW, nothing's coming out.
Right.
It's all jacked up. So I know it's not CW.
Right.
I can cross all that one off the list if I don't recognize the sounds as well. So I was just hoping there was something that you could...
I don't know of a faster way, personally.
Okay. Let's just go through it, basically.
Yeah. All right, how many people are still working on the PSK 31? And are you using BPSK 31 as opposed to QPSK 31? Let's see. So you were also having trouble? Oh, you're the one with the really small writing on the screen.
Yes, I got some of the AFSK 1200 bursts and not all. And I'm not sure if I have the right op mode selected here. Is PSK 31 the same thing as BPSK 31?
Yep, BPSK 31 is the correct one. And then there's also QPSK, however, QPSK should not decode it for you.
Yeah, Corey.
Yes?
You might need to change frequencies,
Why?
because your mic's jumping in.
Really?
Oh, because he's standing, he's like,
Oh.
mic's jumping in.
Yeah, this Chinese garbage, it's lovely. If I, watch, if I put my hand on it, it should shift the frequency of it a few kilohertz. And now I take my hand off. Yeah. It's lovely, isn't it? Okay, and you were having trouble also?
Yeah, so we've noticed our antenna.
So really, because it's a 2-meter signal, your antenna should be at like this height rather than... Bigger isn't always better. Also, I could go bump up my power if you really want. On the other hand, you could bump up your LNA gain. No, that's just moving your noise floor. Right. So you have a line where you should.
And I have the FL Digi.
See your audio gain there? Move that up to 0. There you go. Now see if that helps. So you definitely have a more defined line over there. But it's still decoding garbage.
I feel like it's close because it's decoding the same garbage over and over.
Yeah, it's PSK 31 is what it should be. And then drop your FFT size if it's not already pretty low. Do you have separate headphone and microphone jacks?
No, it's one of those like combined ones. It's the
Okay.
APRS.
Alright, I'm going to go put it Ready 45 on now, and I'll see if people have better luck with Ready as opposed to PS. Ready 45 is the next digital mode I'm going to put up. So for those of you still having trouble, I'm going to move on to the next digital mode. If you're at this point and you can't decode anything, you really might want to try that audio loopback cable if you can. If not, just keep optimizing your settings until something happens.
What is that toy or keep on voice?
This is a dummy load. It's like an antenna simulator.
It's one that I need to play with.
Oh. Yeah, I just dropped the transmission. We're switching. Okay. So now I put up Ready 45 on a different frequency. Find it. I put up a Ready 45 signal. It's still narrow FM demodulator, but in FL Digi you're going to use Ready 45 to decode it. No, it'll still be in the 2-meter amateur radio band.
What did you say was the correct?
At narrow FM, it's kind of hard to pick out from the noise from the router.
Is it? Because it should be a very strong signal. It should be like... And it's not very far off of the other frequency. Like, you shouldn't have to do too much searching. Unless you're, like, super zoomed in.
What? Whoa. What was that?
Is your walkie still on?
That was an APRS. Just went through.
Oh, yeah, that's still on. You want me to turn that off?
Turn
People
that
still...
off, please. While I sitting there with it, oh. What do we got there?
And then the op mode is RTTY 45, ready 45. But it is definitely different than the PSK sound, right?
Yep.
And if you just play with the different digital modes and just listen to them, you can really learn what's what.
How would you get good samples to listen to?
So if you go to that SIG-ID website, that has a bunch of sound files. You could also use the FL Digi program to play stuff back to you, and you listen to it that way.
Definitely tell the difference.
Yep.
I see the signal.
Yes?
You were at 144. Oh, right.
I did change frequencies, yes.
Okay. It's not.
I didn't tell people what frequency to go to.
I know. I'm just saying, like, I'm on it, I selected it, and I'm just getting a continuous tone.
No, it's modulated. I can
If you really listen to that tone, it's...
No, it's...
Plus, this computer is decoding it. If this computer is decoding it, I have faith.
It's another one's coming in hot enough. I had to lower my ONA.
Yeah, I bumped the power this time around because the people in the back were having trouble picking it up. Yep. So, okay, you're definitely receiving this with more power now. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm doing great.
Good.
I think your CPU in that one is not as powerful as this one, so you might want to have a smaller FFT. There's more.
I think one day everyone that uses a Mac to do this should just like get together in a group and just like come up with the best way to go about this using Macs, because it seems in general people either running Linux on Mac or running it in the native Mac environment are having one issue or another. I feel like if there was like a Mac study group, it would be helpful to people.
I'm getting something, just not quite.
Try not to
Change your upload.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're on the other signal, but that was that's not the right signal.
So did everyone find the frequency that the signal is on? Cool. Well, it wasn't very far off of the other one.
Like a continuous.
Keep going.
Who is not decoding the signal?
I haven't found it yet.
Okay, haven't.
What was the old signal we were on?
The old signal was 146.550 with PSK 31 encoding. This one is not very far off from that and should be a little bit higher power than the other signal. You're a little low there.
I think I got it. Also, somehow I managed to like undock these. Do you have any idea how to redock them?
You can click and drag them. I know that's a thing.
Yeah, I did
And
that, and it did a bunch of weird things.
so if all else fails, GQRX-R
No.
and start again. And so James is really close to the right frequency, so if you look at his screen and cheat off of him.
There'd be no
Am I not
cheaters
even
here.
close?
Yeah, you're pretty close. The audio you're feeding into FL Digi doesn't look all that clean.
No, it's
So
not.
go back to GQRX. And that gain setting's right. All your filters are right.
I was having the same problem before.
Go to FFT settings.
Oh.
Change
Like
that,
crank this
yeah.
up,
Drop that down a little bit.
drop it even more. Yeah, this computer's garbage, so.
And then if that doesn't work, go into pulse audio volume control and see if with the audio level going into your, it looks like it should. Go to playback. Go to the playback tab. It looks choppy. Close everything
Yeah,
and
I'm
open
thinking
everything back up.
something's just wrong.
Who else is not decoding it? Cool. Seems like people are doing well now. Okay, who still needs the Ready 45 signal up?
We're just trying to get wants it in. It's bouncing LNA gain and audio gain. So it's not very clean signal.
Alright. In about 2 minutes, I'm going to drop that and bring up another one. You got a question?
Well, I was trying to find it.
Excuse me? So go to 146.490.
Oh, okay.
Yep. See, it wasn't very far off of the other signal. You close everything and it's still giving you the trouble like that?
Like, any of this stuff like gonna make a difference, or the squelch, or is my squelch level too low?
What's baffling me is like the way your waterfall looks. It's just not clean.
Not clean at all. Yeah, I agree.
Well, open a little configuration. Got a little circuit board icon on there yet. Yeah, click OK.
Drop this down. This might be that might be what's taking my CPU too.
What do you have for a processor?
It's a Celeron. It's
Oh, audio loopback might be. ideal if you could have that working on there.
Oh, instead of here.
Instead of pulse audio, yeah. Yes, right.
With this, with this, not necessarily with that frequency. You have to put this one.
Nope.
140.
So the frequency up here in the top of the FL Digi means nothing. If you have like a Kenwood radio or a Yaesu radio and you had a cable between your computer and like the HF rig, that frequency would control that radio. And here, it doesn't really mean anything though.
So I can change that frequency and it will still work?
It just doesn't do anything to it. It's completely arbitrary. Okay.
It's cleaned up now.
What did you change?
Nothing.
Nothing? It just...
I lifted it up and I think it cooled off some.
Oh.
I lifted it up because I was like, oh, I don't have an audio input.
Oh.
I only have a head.
You probably have the, like a lot of people have the tip ring sleeve TRS jack, which is a built, it's that one looks like a headphone jack but has an extra ring on it.
Okay, yeah.
And that's like a combination.
Yeah, it's headphone and mic together.
Did you hear about the new hack for the iPhone 7, putting a jack in it?
Mm-hmm. Are you going to do that to yours when you get your iPhone 7?
It's clean as can be.
If I had like a 7, they would probably already have it.
All right. Anyone still need Ready 45?
Yeah, we had to change our FFT size.
I haven't picked it up yet.
Okay. You haven't picked it up yet?
I mean, I see this bar. It's still a lot closer.
Yeah, those bars should be, you should be decoding stuff right now. Excuse me, Rod.
RTT45. We change it. Change it back.
Oh, your FFT size, drop that way down. Like, put it down to 2048. No, you don't have to turn it off to change it. You can leave it going. Put it down to 2048, and then click your play button again. And see if that helps. I don't know why you're not decoding. You should be decoding something right now. You have such a clean, beautiful signal going to FL Digi. It should be decoding.
Like, look at mine. This should be...
Bump your level going into FL Digi up a little bit more on your laptop. Try closing everything and opening it all back up.
Turn it off and back on again.
Actually, last year,
Mine's in and out. It's clean.
yeah.
And then it'll...
Last year, someone rebooted their whole laptop, and then everything worked perfectly after that.
So I'm actually zoomed in 4 times on the waterfall and it's all easy.
Mm-hmm.
To run, I guess, the tuners
Mm-hmm.
on each side. Every once in a while, like the signal and other thing drifts or something, and it kind of, you can see they're not wobble, like they're trying to auto sound to find the center of each assignment.
Yeah. So one frequency is called a mark, and the other frequency is called a space, and that's basically 1 to 0 and 1 to 1.
Just bouncing back and
Yep.
forth between them, depending on it. Did you lift your computer?
No, I closed them all both out, and I started it back up again.
All right, awesome. All right, I'm dropping the Ready 45 signal.
My computer sucks. I gotta get a lot of this stuff. This machine just doesn't have the horsepower it needs.
All right, this one's on a completely different frequency. It's still in the 2-meter hand band, but it's not close to the to where you just were. And then when you find it, FL Digi is not going to decode it.
That must mean it's like that space one.
Is it also ready or no?
Nope, it's going to be, technically the mode's considered an analog mode. It doesn't have any digital data on it.
Yeah, that's TV.
Found it.
So it's nowhere close?
That's TV.
It's going to be off a little bit.
Is it the moon bounce?
It is not a moonbound signal.
It is very close.
And I want you to really listen to the way this one sounds. It has a very unique sound, a very distinct sound. Kind of sounds like it has a little bit of a beat going in the background.
Pulse transmitter.
It's not really pulsed. It's got a few different analog carriers on it.
You said FL Digi won't do it, right?
FL Digi will not do it.
So I'm guessing we're using
There we
QSS
go.
TV.
Yep.
That doesn't work.
Well, then you get the Morse code at the end, which is just my call sign. And I definitely want you, especially the very beginning of that, has a very unique sound to it. That is called slow scan television. And bring up terminal. We'll close FL Digi so it's not using up our CPU.
I was trying to play with the QSS TV the other day on the signal Lippy and I couldn't get it working.
So open. So instead of FL Digi, we'll do QSS TV. Hit enter. And it comes up on my screen, of course. It's interesting hearing the different delays that people get. And when you open QSS TV, it might start doing a thing, although I already had it set up appropriately.
Yeah, how do we... There we go. Yeah, you said it.
It's gonna, so because it's in the middle of the signal, it's going to struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not
It might be.
No.
anything.
Fry. Yeah.
So set it to weak sensitivity.
Yep, so set the sensitivity to weak, although you might not even need to do that.
Yeah, I'm getting jacked steadily.
So because you've started that program in the middle of the transmission, it's going to freak out a little bit. But this time around, if you give it a minute, it should start decoding something. And if not, it's just like before, we'll go through and play with stuff until something happens.
Mine's not getting anything.
I don't know why mine's acting like that. It's weird.
QSTV's getting literally nothing. I mean,
So there's one step that you had to do when you first started FL Digi that you might have forgotten about doing this time.
The pulse audio stuff?
Yep, you got to go to Pulse Audio Volume Control. Make sure that Pulse monitor of built-in analog stereo is feeding into QSS TV.
Yep.
yeah, I'm getting no volume on it.
Do you at least see in the screen, the blue box down here, do you see something?
Yeah, I've got stuff going down there, but nothing on the screen.
Yeah, I've got nothing, and when I open up Pulse Audio, I'm not getting any volume indication.
Oh, I got it now. I had to restart it.
And then also, instead, the weakest, like the most sensitive is the DX setting. In amateur radio, DX means long distance.
Oh, hey. I got black and white. Hey.
So when I tried this earlier today, the picture came through perfectly clear as day. I don't know why it's looking like crap right now.
Because the router's going crazy.
What's your call sign?
My call sign is K3CPK.
Are you trying to like...
Okay, I got it. Figured out what's wrong.
What's wrong?
I had it, tried to set it up so that I could listen on the audio A.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like it was moving back into itself.
Oh.
Back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, I guess.
Set that off. Waterfall figured out.
Awesome. I wonder if on mine it's just, I need to change this setting away from weak.
Oh, hey, there we go. Yeah, I didn't have pulse audio set up right. Monitor, built-in audio, stereo. Yeah,
I keep site faulting.
That is not good. Try restarting your computer.
Is it supposed to be like a little hazy?
It'll be a little hazy. It should, so what I got going on there is bad. I'm sorry it's not HD. There actually is a digital image transmission mode. I haven't used it though.
Go to recording. Go to the built-in and click on the middle one. And then go back.
So you'll have to fiddle with the sensitivity setting until it works right.
I went down to DX. Sensitivity. DX.
He's getting crystal clear over here.
That's good. Roger, your computer is actually amazing me right now. Like, I am absolutely shocked and amazed that your computer is performing as well as it is.
Yeah.
Two different questions. So I don't have a sensitivity on my.
Yours is set up very differently than you're using a different version.
Okay, what is this?
Yeah, mine's 8.2. Yours is 9. Wow. I want to use .9. Where do I get .9?
I have no idea. I just downloaded whatever I found.
Yours is working as is though.
Yeah.
So I.
So the thing is, what?
Oh, now it's crashing as it is. That's weird. Yeah, your program just crapped out on you.
So the other thing is, what exactly the hell is this program for?
So in the amateur radio world, they do something called slow scan television, which is basically sending pictures over HF. And people like put their call sign on the picture. It'll be like a picture of them or a picture of something they like. And they go out, they click the transmit button. It goes over from their sound card to the radio, and it goes out over the airwaves. Someone in another state, another country picks it up, and then they'll send a picture to you with their call sign on it. And it's just another way of communicating. Okay. Like, look at all these contacts I made, and it's like instant QSL card type of thing.
Okay.
So is it considered against the SEC if I send a picture of this?
Probably. Although I've seen some pictures of pretty scantily clad women go across SSTV before.
There we go. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to live their like 56K modem early picture days. Is the carrier normally the peak in the middle?
On the GQRX, yes.
It works wonderfully.
The carrier is the peak in the middle.
It's like just a little to the left.
So the great thing about FM is as long as your whole signal fits in that little gray box, even if it's a little bit out of that gray box, it works.
Okay. I mean, it's detected the center here.
Yeah, that middle peak that doesn't change in amplitude at all is the carrier.
So here's the thing I'm so confused about is like, how do I know when I would need to change this? It's not obvious to me why I would switch that.
Oh, so basically you're telling it to either listen to your microphone or listen to what's going on inside the computer. And because everything is internal to the computer, you want it to listen to everything that's in the computer. If you have an external receiver and you're going from the output of the receiver into your microphone jack, then you'd click built-in analog stereo.
So I only want to use I only want to use monitor all the time.
Right. Yours is crashing a lot. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know, maybe I'm using up all my RAM or something. I don't know.
So everyone that has QSS TV open, look up the version number. Who is running 9 dot something? Is it crashing a lot? Whose is crashing a lot? Is it 9 dot something up there?
Yeah, it's 9.1.8. Oh, segfault again.
I wish I could help you, but that's something you'll just have to Google, is QSS TV segfault.
So is the name of the encoding SSTV?
Yep. So SSTV is like the overall, like overarching what it is, and then there's different encoding schemes within that. So right now it says no sync. In a second that'll start saying robot 36. Receiving robot 36. There's a drop-down menu here, mode, and there's like Scotty, Martin, a whole bunch of different SSTV encoding schemes within that.
How good is it at actually grabbing the right mode?
I've never had this fail. It thinks, so that tone that it makes in the very beginning tells the decoder program a lot about the signal is going to be coming.
I could tell by watching this that when the tone said that it was basically a sync.
If it doesn't sync, is there a way to get it to sync?
If you watch it,
I don't know about in this program, but on Windows there's a program called MMSSTV, and that has a whole tab dedicated to sync, and you could actually sort of see the image in the sync data on the MMSSTV program. But that's a Windows only program.
I get this. It comes in fine. I'm fine
Right.
with that. But nothing over here.
So you also have noise coming in down at the bottom there, which is weird. Go open up GQRX. And then open up Pulse Audio Volume Control. And recording. Looks like it should. I don't know what, it's pulling in extra audio from somewhere on your computer, I think. Cause see how, look at this this FFT, how there's nothing going on down here. If you open QSS TV back up,
yep.
You've got something in the base feeding into it. But change your sensitivity to DX and see if
I tried that once. So
try that and ooh, go to GQRX and that gain slider. Put that down to like 1 or 0. And then open up Pulse Audio Volume Control. And then
we could silence these, can't we?
Yeah, you can silence them. Why do you have 2 GQRXs in your menu? Say again?
I have no idea.
Oh, put them both at 100%. That was at 100. Yep. Okay, that helped on that front. Now go to recording. And then bring that closer to 100%. No, too high. Too high. Bring that so it like fits nicely in the display there. And then next time, it should be starting again in a minute. Or not a minute, but like a few seconds. And see if that helps it. Yours is just not cooperating. I would close everything and try again. That helps people sometimes.
It's the right frequency.
Yep. And have you decoded it successfully yet?
I did, and then I kind of switched it around, and now it's not working so great at the moment.
Cool. Yeah, MMSSTV is a good program for Windows people.
Yeah, I had to find one.
Should this pick up the CW at the end?
Yeah, it should. I don't know what speed it's going on, but you gotta just have it. You gotta have it ready, basically. And also, you make sure this. You gotta click down at like I think it's like 700 hertz or something. No, that's not going to pick up. So right now what it's listening to is the sync signal.
Yeah, but I mean, it's receiving something. Now you lost it.
Dustin can't do anything. So what do you see? And come to find out, you are now the sole SDR guy for DC. That's okay. You're going to be on a plane that who's back here. Can't you? Why are you going on vacation? Can't you send like a contractor to do your job?
I'm actually going with contractors.
So what, supervisor?
Basically. Who else still working on SSTV? Okay. In the meantime, those of you that have it going all right, just take a break. Assigning homework. But you want to do this homework.
So I'm not, it's not that I'm pissed. No. I'm in death hell with mine.
Wasabi. You've probably already done this homework assignment, but I'm sure you'll enjoy doing it again.
From last class?
No. You'll see.
What the hell? Now it's working for you.
It's watching porn. I'm about to go do that right now.
This is what I'm getting now.
Oh. It worked for so long and then it died.
Yeah, it's here. It can only be my diagram. There's no other place I can check.
It's so weird. It's like this thing forgets red as a color sometimes.
When you forget that red's a color, it's space. It gets out of phase sometimes.
Money is super huge.
Well, that's not good.
Did you break it? Oh, yeah, Bowie recommends keeping that little cap on there because he had a similar issue. Do you want a pair of needle nose pliers?
When did they transmit? How do you pick them up?
W1AW is in Connecticut, so I don't on VHF. I don't expect you to pick them up.
Okay. Is there a local ARRL?
I don't think so.
So my stuff is kind of weird, but I'm just wondering, like, are these the 2 channels maybe?
So see how this is expecting Robot 12C?
Yeah.
Change that to Robot 36. Yours does not have an auto detect apparently. And then I don't know. I've never seen that software before. I've never really messed with it.
It's analog video, right? So it's shifting line sync.
seem to have gotten this all sort of working now, but I can't listen to it at the same time.
Who all is still trying to do SSTV? On the back, and 3 in that row. So yours is just still not picking up at all. I want to be able to help you, but I just don't understand why it's not decoding.
How do we know if it's running? It's a start receiver, but
It should be automatically started. I mean, you could click the little restart receiver button and see if that helps it, but you see how when you click the stop, that freezes? Now if you click the play button, it should unfreeze.
reboot to Windows Web. You made it this one.
147, yeah, 147.9 is the frequency I'm on. I don't know where your signal went. Oh, all the way up there, that's why. Okay.
Edit a picture of goatee and give you the half couple inches. So people are like, I know what the fuck that is. And then it doesn't change.
No?
No one will know. Oh, I can change it. It won't be.
I don't even want to see that.
It won't be nothing to see. It'll just be the fingers.
That's one of those moments where I wish I lost weight.
I don't know that it's I've never watched.
Why didn't you just say it?
Wasabi, you're going to regret leaving.
No, not.
I would, so what I would do if I were you is download some WAV files of SSTV, like go on the SIG-ID wiki, get that sample file. Try to get a few sample files and just see if that'll even work.
Okay.
No, we all got that brief, like even after the
Wasabi, you would have enjoyed the homework. Come here. And then you would have had fun.
Multi-one.
Alright, I'm good. Get ready. Already did the homework a little faster.
Alright, so are you three still having trouble? Yeah. What is happening on your end? Like what?
I love you. Goodbye.
See you later.
How much more you got for?
We have identical results.
This is the last transmission, and then
I'm getting your call sign nice and clear every time when it comes through. I'm getting the
cool. Excuse me, Ryder.
That's true.
You all literally have the same computers. How did that happen?
And the computer, same computer image. So
This is what we're getting.
So that looks like just craziness going on there. Your FFT size is way too high. Drop that FFT size down to like 8192.
Okay. What am I just getting?
it's got an i7 processor, so it's got some.
Yeah, whenever anyone's having trouble, that's like the very first troubleshooting step is take some of the load off the processor.
Okay.
Now put that back on frequency.
Actually get it exactly on.
That 16 dB, drop that down to 0 dB.
I had to tune on to it back. So depending on FFT size, my center frequency is completely off. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that way, but it is.
Just keep that on there and it'll be fine. And then open pulse audio volume control. I think you're going to need to play with the levels in that a little bit. Go to playback. Okay. And now open QSSTV back up. I don't know why that's coming in so weak there. Like your whole, open GQRX back up and go to receiver options. Filter width normal. And now open pulse audio volume control back up. Go to recording. Just boost that a little bit in here, just a tiny bit.
Can I do it here?
Yep. All right, now go back to QSSTV.
Does this just look noisy? Is that what you think?
That it looks noisy, but I don't know why. So I'm going to tell you what I told him is when you go home, go on like the SIG-ID wiki, get the sample SSTV file. Okay. Just get a few different sample SSTV files and try and see if different ones help. All right, I am dropping the SSTV transmission. Yeah, I think so. It's automatically added by the program I use to encode it. Okay. So that's it for that. Now I'll go back to slides.
Hey, now it is working off of the internet. No, it's not.
All right, so the best way to learn is to experiment. So go home, get some sample files, look at the stuff that's actually on the airwaves. Go on a site like rtlsdr.com, and there's a lot of blogs on there talking about different things that people decode. And just follow some of the experiments that people have done if they're not overly complicated. And as I said in an earlier slide, Google is your best friend. You can Google your way through a lot of these problems. That's how I learned. And now for the homework. The homework today is a few different questions. And I hope that these questions encourage some experimenting. So the first one is, what is POCSAG? Answer to that should be pretty simple.
What is what?
POCSAG, P-O-C-S-A-G. And then what frequencies would you find it on in Maryland? Once you learn that, again, I hope you feel compelled to experiment. And then what Linux program decodes the POCSAG messages? And then once you find that out, maybe we'll encourage you to experiment more, get that program. A little word of warning, you'll have to install it from source code. It's not difficult. The instructions how to do it are right in the README for the program. But if you have not used Linux before, it might seem a little weird or intimidating. And then once you learn about that program, what other digital modes can you decode using that program? Thank you all for coming out. If you like the class, please support the space. Maybe consider becoming a member. Stop by other nights. We're open pretty much 5 days a week, and then most Saturdays we're open, and then sometimes Sundays we're open. If you're not sure whether or not we're open, go on our website. On the homepage of unallocatedSpace.org, the status is there. It tells you whether or not the space is open. Say it again? I'll be here for probably another hour. You want it back on? Yeah, I can do that. Yep. Again, this class is free, but our rent is not, so please help us out. Say again?
Well, we need a cooler selection button to pass around. Fez hat. Like a Fez hat or something cool.
The sensor's inside the box, buddy.
That one you were looking at.
The sensor's inside the box. You got a different front. It was on earlier today. I don't know why it's off.
Well, that would do it.
What's up, buddy?
Good job.
Thank you.
32.